Alright, so we're back with another My Hero Academia episode, and to be honest, I actually thought it was pretty good. Not gonna lie. I was not really expecting a whole lot, just for the past couple of weeks slash episodes, just the second half for this season just hasn't been anything too spectacular, and that really saddens me because all I would ever see on Twitter or even in people's comments and certain videos, all they would talk about is how they would be really excited about how they're finally getting to the adaptation of this arc from the manga, and that it was supposed to be something really big and really huge and really exciting because it delves into the villains who we don't really get to see too often, especially Shigaraki, considering that he's supposed to be like the big bad guy, like at the end of the day, for our main characters to be going at, because he's like supposed to be the successor for All for One and blah 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 blah. And we go back to that, right? Because we had more of his origin story from last week's episode to put more into context of what happened in his life. And this week's episode we continue on with a little bit more of that. And it pretty much confirmed, or not really confirmed, but it solidified what I was saying for the previous video last week, which I was talking about how he didn't really have a proper support group that he needed at the time of his life, where he needed it the most to be able to go down towards a proper path. And in the beginning of the episode, it shows him walking on the streets by himself, just a little kid with his hands covered in blood, and people are just completely dismissing him, or they try to help him for a second, but then they see that look in his eyes and they decide to go ahead and just leave him for any police officer or hero who decides to stop on by and help him. And of course, that doesn't end up happening. No one ended up saving him and being a support group or a pillar of support for him to be able to go down a better positive path, but instead he met All for One and he went down towards the path of villainy. And now we're at a point where he is now the leader of the Meta Liberation Army, or as they ended up calling it by the end of the episode, the Paranormal Liberation Front. I think that's what they called it. I don't know why they really felt the need to change it, but whatever. It's not really that big of a deal. Other than that, it kind of just focuses on Shigaraki and him just fully accepting who he is and what he wants to do, and he just basically just wants to let loose and just destroy everything, because he hates everything, but he loves destroying things, and that's just his main goal. That is the main thing that he wants to do. He just wants to destroy things in his path, and that's ultimately what he's going to be able to get at this point, because he now is the commander of the entire Meta Liberation Army after defeating Redestro, after a pretty well animated, I would like to say. I'm not really an animation expert, so you shouldn't quote me on this, but I thought it looked pretty good. And we just get to see Shigaraki use his quirk at like full power, I would presume, and he just destroys multiple city blocks in an instant, and it looks pretty impressive. I didn't even really know that his quirk can even do that, and I didn't even realize how strong it really was, considering that Redestro at that point was fighting like over 100% of his power, and he's like super fast and super strong. And meanwhile, Shigaraki's just able to catch his fist and start decaying his. Later on in the episode, he actually ends up getting armor. And he just like decays the armor away that Redestro was wearing in the fight. And I didn't realize it was just that strong. I kind of just underestimated it a little bit, and that's my fault for not really thinking too much of it. But it ended up looking pretty impressive. And Makia in the episode ends up finally submitting and accepting that Shigaraki is now the successor for All for One, because remember, that was the whole point of us getting to these characters, and before he was even able to get some sort of power up from that doctor guy. I don't even remember what his name is. But now Shigaraki's going to be able to get that, and that's pretty much the episode. I thought it looked pretty good. There were moments that actually genuinely surprised me, like how that one politician guy, and how his quirk is basically to give people morale so that way they become more powerful. Shigaraki just gives all those people, and the politician guy, I don't remember his name, I'm sorry, just like a quick glance, right? And that one quick glance, it's just completely stops them right in their tracks, and it just shows the power dynamic between Shigaraki and everyone else now at that point, and I actually thought that was really cool. Other than that, we're just going to be getting another episode next week, obviously, and I think it's the last episode for the season. Don't quote me on it if I'm wrong, obviously. If we end up getting more than just the next episode next week, then cool, I'm completely fine with that. But we're like almost 25 episodes in, and that's usually the length for a My Hero Academia season. It kind of just seems like now everything's kind of slowing down for when we're eventually going to be getting the next season, which is probably going to be somewhere around maybe this time frame next year. So, be expected whenever we get around to it. And yeah, that's kind of it. I don't really need to say much else. That's kind of everything that ended up happening. I thought it was pretty decent. I actually kind of had a lot of fun watching the episode, and there were moments, like I said, genuinely surprised me, and yeah, that's kind of it. I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap things up. I thought it was cool. I thought it was fine. I actually thought it was pretty decent in comparison to what we've been having for the past couple of weeks, so I'm pretty happy about that. Anyways, that's the end of the video, so if you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next one. I'm out. Peace.